Master Ulrich von Jungingen has positioned his Teutonic Knights to defend the borders of their realm. But what approaches now is unlike anything before. Across the river Vistula, a massive army of over 30,000 men moves into the heart of the Teutonic state. The forces of Poland and Lithuania have come to challenge the might of the Teutonic Knights. This invading army will burn and pillage the land. While territorial and political motives fuel the conflict, there is also a desire for revenge. The Teutonic Knights, German crusaders who arrived nearly 2 centuries ago to convert and conquer pagan peoples, have left a legacy of resentment. Their reputation quickly spread. Christian rulers and church leaders criticized their harshness and hunger for conquest, while both pagan and Christian opponents faced them in fierce, often brutal wars over the years. Despite past tensions, Ulrich von Jungingen has failed to find a diplomatic solution. Instead, he assembles around 20,000 soldiers to meet the invaders. Outnumbered but formidable, his army is well organized, with heavily armored knights and a strong complement of crossbowmen and artillery. Ulrich positions his forces to block the enemy at the river Drika and keeps close watch on their movements. Soon, tens of thousands of armored men converge for one of the largest battles of the medieval era, a clash that will decide the fate of the Teutonic Order and reshape the balance of power in the region. This is the Battle of Grunwald. In May 1409, rebellion erupts. The people of Samogitian rise against their Teutonic overlords, burning hill forts, killing or capturing those inside, and seizing horses and livestock. The Teutonic forces fall back, but Samogitian remains crucial, a strategic link between the Knights' holdings in Prussia and their territories in Livonia to the north. Grand Master Ulrich refuses to let it slip from his control, even if it risks open conflict with neighboring powers. The rebels are not acting alone. Vytautas, Grand Duke of Lithuania, openly supports the uprising. He argues that Samogitian is part of Lithuania, only recently handed over to the Teutonic Order in a pragmatic political deal. Faced with this, Ulrich sees only one option: to take the fight into Lithuania itself. Yet he hesitates, aware that Poland could intervene. Lithuania and Poland are tied by a personal union. Vytautas rules Lithuania as regent for his cousin, King the Ladislaw II Jagiello of Poland. Ulrich announces his plans to invade Lithuania and warns the Polish king not to interfere. In response, the Archbishop of Gniezno, speaking for Poland, issues a clear warning. Master, do not think to intimidate us by attacking Lithuania. If you strike there, know that our king will march against your lands. The enemies of Lithuania are our enemies, and we will take up arms if you act. According to Polish records, Ulrich receives this news with apparent delight. I am grateful, worshipful father, he replies. You do not hide your king's intentions. Now that I know his plans, I shall strike at the head rather than the limb. Without delay, the Teutonic Knights invade Poland, sweeping through territories the order had previously sold to the king. Their army assaults castles, slaughtering garrisons of Polish knights, and, according to Polish accounts, wreaks havoc on nearby towns, taking the lives of even women and children. The enraged Poles strike back. They lay siege to a western fortress seized by the order and execute the leaders inside. Yet neither side is ready to sustain a prolonged conflict, and so a truce is arranged by the King of Bohemia on October 8th. It is agreed that the peace will last only 8 months, expiring on June 24, 1410. As winter freezes the ground and dusts the forests with snow, lords in their halls recruit subjects, allies, and mercenaries for the coming war. Lithuania is now the largest state in Europe, and together with Poland can muster vast armies. But the Teutonic Order also commands great influence, its highest-ranking knights drawn from wealthy and powerful German aristocratic families. Those Germans who join the order see themselves as heirs to a long and righteous struggle, one that began not here, but in the Holy Land 2 centuries earlier. In the 1190s, shortly after the Third Crusade, a hospital order serving German crusaders was elevated to a religious military order, on par with the Knights Templar and Hospitallers. The knights of this Teutonic Order tirelessly escorted pilgrims, defended towns, and fought Muslim armies, while as devout friars they took vows of chastity and poverty each night. Yet, with the Crusaders' advance in the Holy Land largely halted, the Order turned its attention to perceived threats to Christendom elsewhere. They traveled to Transylvania, fighting the pagan Cuman tribes on behalf of the Hungarian king, only to be expelled when the Order claimed autonomy over its conquered lands. The Knights sought a permanent state, and Poland, long Christian, needed assistance against the pagan raiders of Prussia. Thus, the Order established a territorial foothold and waged the brutal Baltic Crusades, constantly fighting in marshes and dense forests. One chronicle notes, "They complained little, for they labored in God's name, steadfastly propagating the true faith. They kept watch, fasted, and seldom rested. Their sufferings were great." As the Knights expanded, they turned on their former Polish allies in 1308. While intervening in a Polish internal dispute, they stormed Danzig, overwhelming the defenders and burning the city. Witnesses claimed so many civilians were killed that dogs drank from pools of blood. Despite papal condemnation, the Teutonic Knights annexed the town and surrounding lands, seizing Poland's access to the Baltic coast. Yet the Order discovered its greatest adversary in Lithuania, the last and most formidable of the pagan states. Unlike other regions, its tribes were united under a central Lithuanian authority. Their warrior nobility gained power through raiding and enslaving enemies, relying on swift light cavalry tactics inspired by the Tatars of the steppe. Although the Teutonic Order claimed to fight for the protection of Christian converts and the elimination of sinful practices, many criticized the cruelty of their campaigns. The 13th century Livonian rhymed chronicle, which praises the knights as God's warriors, nonetheless recounts their deeds with brutal honesty. The knights moved into the land of Nadruvia, killing freely. They slaughtered men, women, and children, sparing few. The well-ordered army advanced through Nadruvia toward Lithuania, destroying everything by fire. Then they rode into Samogitian, where the power of the Christians and the fierce fighting caused much grief. While missionaries did win converts in Lithuania, the friar and scholar Roger Bacon argued that the knights obstructed these efforts and tarnished the church's reputation. The knights greatly hinder the conversion of the infidels because of the constant wars they wage, and because they wish to rule them entirely. There is no doubt that all the pagans beyond Germany would have been converted long ago if not for the violence of the brothers of the Teutonic Order. Despite Lithuania's official Christianization, the Order continued its bloody raids each winter and summer. Even after Jogaila abolished the old gods and baptized much of the population, the raids persisted. As Grand Duke of Lithuania, Jogaila had himself been pagan until 1386, when he converted to Christianity and married Jadwiga, the young ruler of Poland. In doing so, he also became King of Poland. But his rival cousin, Vytautas, soon contested his authority over Lithuania, plunging the two into a brutal war that lasted for years until they reached the current compromise. Jogaila would remain King of Poland, while Vytautas ruled Lithuania as his regent, enjoying de facto independence. Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen doubts that this uneasy alliance between Jogaila and Vytautas will endure, as the warmth of the summer of 1410 marks the approaching end of the truce. Ulrich also underestimates the willingness of the Poles and Lithuanians to launch a major invasion of his fortified state. Yet by July 1st, King Jogaila's Polish army crosses the river Vistula via a nearly 2,000-foot pontoon bridge, cavalry, cannons, and all. The Polish forces unite with allies, mercenaries, and Vytautas's Lithuanian troops. Together, this formidable army of roughly 30,000 men moves into the Teutonic lands, leaving fire and destruction in its wake as it advances toward the Teutonic headquarters at Marienburg. Expecting the enemy to cross the river Drika near the fortress of Kawernik, Ulrich leads his army of 20,000 east to hold the fords. Days later, just as he predicted, the Polish-Lithuanian army appears near the hilltop castle, and the two forces face off. The Teutonic army is well prepared to defend the river. The old great helms of past centuries have been replaced by bassinets and kettle hats. Soldiers wear mail and breastplates or coats of plates, while elite knights and troops add additional plate protection on arms, legs, and other vital areas. Close combat units carry lances, polearms, swords, and sidearms. Led by several hundred Teutonic knights, The army is a mix of local cavalry and infantry, visiting knights and skilled mercenaries. However, Ulrich lacks knights from the Livonian branch, who have secretly agreed to a peace deal with Lithuania. Despite this, the Grand Master shows no fear. He remarks, "In the Lithuanian army, you will find more men fit to wield a spoon than a sword." The allied force, though less disciplined and organized than the Teutonic army, is eager and well-armed. The best Polish and Lithuanian knights wield weapons and armor comparable to their German counterparts, though the Eastern-influenced Lithuanians often ride in lighter, more agile gear. Among their ranks are warriors from across the region, including men from the Rus principalities, Samogitians, and steppe nomads. A significant contingent of Tatar horse archers from the Golden Horde rides under the exiled Muslim prince Jalal ad-Din, son of the late Khan and a distant descendant of Genghis Khan. Jalal ad-Din has allied with Vytautas in exchange for Lithuanian support in reclaiming his father's throne. Medieval chronicles also mention the presence of Czech warriors, including Jan Žižka, the brilliant fighter who would later become a hero of the Hussite Wars. Despite the strength of his forces, King Jogaila avoids a direct battle at the river. Instead, he chooses to move around it to the east. On July 13th, the Polish-Lithuanian army reaches Gilgenburg, a town and castle situated on a narrow strip of land between two lakes. The attackers scale the walls with siege ladders and pour into the town. Even the Polish annals admit to the horrifying scene that follows. Flames consume buildings, and many who had sought shelter in the churches perish in the fire. Only a few escape across the lake in boats. Chroniclers claim this devastation was revenge for the massacres committed by the Teutonic Order in Poland the previous year. News of Gilgenburg reaches the Grand Master, who rallies his men to move swiftly and take vengeance on the invading army. The Teutonic forces reach the area around the villages of Grunwald and Tannenberg, while the Allied army approaches from the south. On the morning of July 15th, King Jogaila prays for divine aid, attending two masses. As the armies prepare for battle, the Poles position themselves on the left wing and the Lithuanians on the right. To the north, the Teutonic army grows restless. Two heralds arrive from the Grand Master, mockingly presenting King Jogaila with two swords and the message, "Your Majesty Ulrich, Grand Master of the Prussian Knights, sends you and Vytautas these swords so that you may face him and his army openly, without hiding in woods and thickets, but to fight now." The king replies that he needs no swords, yet accepts them, hoping they will serve God's will in the battle ahead. Baking under the sun, the Teutonic army gradually pulls back from its defensive ditches, drawing the enemy closer. King Jogaila, atop a chestnut horse with a white blaze, surveys his men at the hour of fate. He dons his helm and signals the bugles, and the entire army sings the national anthem, Bogorodica, Mother of God. The first to charge are the Lithuanians and Tatar horsemen, their battle cries piercing the air. Teutonic artillery fires only 2 salvos before the forces collide. Polish chronicles describe the clash. The noise of lances breaking and swords striking armor is like a rockfall. Armor crumples and blades strike faces. With lances shattered, knights fight hand to hand, pressed by their mounts. Only swords and battle axes can now be used. Details of the fight vary among sources, but it seems the Lithuanians hold the Teutonic Knights at bay for over an hour, supported by the Poles on the left. Then the tide turns. The Lithuanians and Tatars fall back, and many Teutonic soldiers abandon their positions to pursue them. Yet Vytautas does not waver. With reinforcements from Smolensk, he strengthens the Polish right as the knights clash with them. A light rain falls, darkening the earth, and men on both sides are struck down as the disciplined Polish lines hold firm. As his troops begin to tire, Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen commits himself to the battle. Leading a reserve force of around 1,500 men, he rides across the field and launches a bold charge against the Polish right. In response, the Poles commit their final reserves, preparing for a fight to the death. Though the banner marking King Jogaila's position has been lowered to hide him, a German knight breaks through the ranks and charges toward the king. Jogaila's secretary, a young priest named Olesnicki, seizes a broken spear, strikes down the attacker, and saves his sovereign's life. The savage struggle drags on, and it is likely at this moment that the Lithuanians and Tatars return dramatically to the battlefield. After ambushing many of their pursuers, they may have been carrying out a deliberate feigned retreat, a tactic long practiced by Tatar and Mongol horsemen. Whatever the case, the Teutonic line begins to collapse. Surrounded on all sides, the knights are cut down as they attempt to withdraw. Polish and Lithuanian forces sweep across the rain-darkened, corpse-littered field, killing or capturing fleeing enemies and joyfully looting the Teutonic camps. Scattered Teutonic survivors flee north into the wilderness, some drowning in rivers as Allied troops pursue them for miles. The Polish annals record. After nightfall, rain falls and continues through the night. Groups keep returning to camp with prisoners and plunder. Many knights and soldiers are taken for ransom. Others are put to death, and perhaps 8,000 more lie cold upon the field. The Allied army may have suffered losses just as severe. Of the 270 full brothers of the Teutonic Order present at Grunwald, as many as 211 are killed, including senior commanders, the treasurer, and Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen himself. At dawn, the victorious Poles and Lithuanians survey the devastation. Masses are said for the souls of the fallen. Captured enemy banners and standards lie scattered around the camp, fluttering in the morning breeze. King Jogaila orders the bodies of the Grand Master and his officers to be respectfully covered in fine cloth, to be carried later to Marienburg for honorable burial. Yet Marienburg remains the ultimate objective. Worn down by battle, the Polish-Lithuanian army advances cautiously through Prussia, accepting the swift surrender of towns and castles along the way. At the same time, a capable Teutonic commander, Heinrich von Plauen, races east with 3,000 men and reaches Marienburg first, taking command before the Allied army arrives on July 25th. The fortress proves formidable. Its walls and garrison withstand a siege that drags on for nearly 2 months. With the threat of Livonian and Hungarian reinforcements looming, King Jogaila eventually withdraws with the remainder of his forces. Under von Plauen's leadership, the Teutonic Order quickly recovers much of the territory it had lost, though the Poles secure another victory later that October. The long and costly conflict finally ends with the Peace of Thorn in February 1411. Poland regains the Dobrzen land, and the order formally abandons its claims to Samogitian for the lifetimes of Jogaila and Vytautas. That summer, Grand Duke Vytautas and King Jogaila lead a grand victory procession, displaying the captured Teutonic banners in the cathedrals of Lithuania and Poland. Grunwald had not destroyed the Teutonic Order outright, and further wars would follow. Yet the battle had shattered its leadership and crippled its army. The order sank deep into debt, paying vast sums of silver in reparations and relying increasingly on hired mercenaries to fill its ranks. The church, too, began to scrutinize the order more closely. Polish clerics accused the German knights of long-standing abuses, of killing and plundering in pagan lands under the guise of conversion. The Teutonic Knights had flourished as ruthless warriors in a harsh medieval world. But after Grunwald, their power slowly ebbed. The once dreaded crusading order would never again rise to its former heights. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of medieval Europe's greatest battles, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow history fans, and subscribe to the channel for more epic stories from the past.